Welcome, everybody, to Views from the Bridge, your second favorite podcast about your favorite team, the Philadelphia Union, who start this week. But before we get there, Evan, Chuck, how are we doing?
Chuck, I'm sure you've been busier, so I'll start with this. Good. Hey, it was really nice to see a bunch of games of the Snow Bowl that the Academy had a little showcase with a bunch of clubs. Some made sense, others were a little confusing. But yeah, nice to see the new facility and that whole thing and be able to watch Academy soccer indoors in February. Credit to the stadium security folks that were like on hand all weekend for that, because that's a weird assignment.
And I guess since I have to answer this question, I had to do the the great task of, spending part of Black History Month writing about racism, since a player, at least have to say allegedly, called Vinicius Jr. a monkey, and then Jose Mourinho, of all people, had to be the celebration police. Yeah, fun day. But we're going to talk about better topics now, and, well, I guess sort of, in this Philadelphia Union season preview.
The bar for that's pretty low.
Yeah, what a day.
It is. And I realized, as I said, things are going to be better. Yes, they are going to be better than, racism, but I don't know if all parts of the season preview are going to be positive.
None of the parts of the season preview are going to be racist. Because if there's one thing we're good at around here, is it's not being xenophobic. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. Sorry. Justin, how are you? Great segue. I'm so sorry.
Welcome to Views from the Bridge, your non-xenophobic podcast of the week. I'm doing well. It's been a good day, and it's been a good week. So
that's a great bar to set, as we've been here much longer than I ever thought that this podcast would be running for.
Yep. Another year, wait, how many?
Justin is like the only person who has an accurate count of how many years this has been going for.
Oh, it's on the wonderfully provided show notes that Justin gives us now to try to keep us in line. Varying degrees of success.
Listen, the show notes are more about keeping myself in line. I don't care where you guys go. It's fine. You guys can be out of line.
That's been your downfall for 8 seasons.
It has been. And that's okay. That's okay. We've been on the air for 8 seasons, just so you know. I don't know how many individual episodes, but I can figure that out pretty quickly. So figure that out.
A lot.
A lot of episodes.
Too many.
I did see a stat the other day that the average podcast goes like three episodes. So, and that's the average. So like we're well on our way.
3 episodes? Jeez.
Everybody starts with big dreams of podcasting, that this is somehow going to make you a ton of money, which the three of us can attest to. It's made us like $60 over the years.
But just like even my shortest tenured personal podcast that I got way too busy to do went 4.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the Union, I promise. But the three of us can probably sit here for several minutes and name podcasts that we have listened to that have come and gone in about 5 episodes. And I won't do that for the guise of professionalism, but I can, but I won't.
We could. I have a couple in mind already.
Well.
Let's talk about the Union.
Speaking of things that have come and gone, the Union roster.
The Union roster. We were just talking off air about the fact that Defense Force FC, who we play tomorrow evening at this point, posted a picture, their game day image for this game, which they posted 17 days ago, was a Union roster shot from 2 seasons, or starting lineup picture from 2 seasons ago. And I think like 2 of those guys are still on the roster, maybe 3. So come and gone is correct. I figure we can start with player movement, and then we can drop into like kind of what the roster looks like right now. Player movement that has happened since we recorded last, or since we talked about whatever is happening. Neil Pierre got loaned out to Lyngby Bold Club, and so Neil Pierre's out on loan. Signings: Junior Martinez and Augustin, I think is how you say it. Anello, a forward, is in on the signings, and then the potential rumored left back signing of Felipe Indigna from Swedish club Degerfors could be an interesting signing. That one's looking like it's might get across the line. Maybe now, maybe summer, not sure. Guys, any thoughts on kind of what's been happening as far as the player movement?
I will say, I feel, because apparently the Neil Pierre loan is a short-term loan, not full season, like just 6 months to Lyngby. So I do feel a lot better with it being a short-term loan, just considering we still have seen plenty of rumors around Macania's future, and it would be no surprise if he's gone during the summer, and Neil Pierre needs to actually step in and be a starter for this club.
It's funny. Like I said, went to the Snow Bowl, watched when I was there Thursday night. So U15s took care of Newcastle, U16s beats Lyngby, and then the U18s came back against Benfica. Good time to be had by all. You know what I learned about Lyngby? They're our sister club.
Oh, yeah, no, we had a little, I think, small investment.
There's a minority stake in Lyngby by the Philadelphia Union Sports, whatever the hell it's called.
It's just funny because, I was just to say it's just funny because because I'm pretty sure they got relegated after the Union invested in them.
Yeah, the year after. So they're in the second tier this year. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Hey, the good news is they're in first place. No, but Neil Pierre is a guy that I think needs to keep getting consistent first team minutes, but those can't be at the championship level. Those can't be at the USL championship level anymore. They have to be somewhere in Europe because he's got to play dudes with physicality and big bodies. And that feels like a good spot for him. And if it's a short-term loan, or it's our sister club, we can just go, we need him back now, thanks. Other than that, I think as a whole, like, we were really worried because we don't get rumors anymore. So we were all just kind of waiting for stuff to happen. And then pretty quickly it felt like 2 or 3 kind of signings at least have filled out our roster, especially with the rumored left back. Like, that pretty much ties together all the signings we wanted to make. I don't think there's like a Milanowski guy where we're immediately like, ooh, that's going to be an impactful signing. Or like, we didn't sign Timo Werner or like James Rodriguez this year. But we have like pieces, which is nice.
See, it's interesting because there's a situation in which Anello has an Olaski impact, and also there's the fact that based on right now with how the roster is looking, that Anello is pushing Olaski up the pitch, because for the first time in a long time, the Union seemed to have signed an actual winger, which when you don't have Kai Wagner and you're not starting the season with Quinn Sullivan, so all of the questions about where will chances come from, it seems like they are banking a lot on them coming from Anello.
Yeah. That's a true statement. Yeah, it has seemed like...
No, go for it, Justin. I was just going to talk about I was going to say that our kids are fighting now with Brendan and Kai in the FA Cup.
They are fighting, and it's fun. I think to your point, Evan, like, we've addressed the holes. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, especially if this left back signing comes through, like, it feels like we've addressed the holes that we had. And it's like, okay, so we got our left back, we got a center back, we got our strikers done. Our midfield is essentially the same. So it feels like we did what we needed to. Now, will all those pieces, like you say, will the pieces come together and start the season well, or will we, what happens at the beginning of the season?
Well,
what happens for
we still had to start the beginning of the season with some mixture of Frankie Westfield and Ben Bender at left back, because that left back's not here. So that's going to be a very fun storyline of the week of who is the left back and how do they play. Luckily, as we've seen time and time again, early season MLS doesn't really matter. And in theory, whoever you put on the pitch in Trinidad should win the game, or at least not lose it, so that you can win it in Philadelphia. Now, if things go as they should go, that round of 16 matchup in Champions Cup is going to be with Club America. And that's when you need to be at your best. And I want to say that that's like March 16th or somewhere around there is where that
feels right.
Supposed to be. So you have like 4 or 5 games and weeks to play around with to figure out what your team is for Club America. And in a lot of ways, it feels relatively similar to the beginning of last season, because we still had questions about how's this team going to fit together? Where are the goals going to come from? Can they actually play defense? And now it's weird because I actually feel like the Union are going to score a lot of goals. I have no idea what this defense is going to like play like.
Well, and I think to your point, Chuck, and then what Justin was kind of getting at earlier too, it's like we have wingers now, so Bradley Carnell is going to have to change something. And because of the way preseason works in American soccer now, which I don't care about the results, but man, I would have loved to seen a little bit of tactical something, but we haven't seen them yet. And I watched the academy, but that's not the same thing. They're not losing a Kai Wagner level player from U17 to U18 or U16 to U18 last year. So more than like what's the team gonna be personnel wise, I want to know what the team does on the field and how we look and what we set up like. Because Carnell really hasn't had to change his tactics, and now he does, or he should do.
And we're still not sure if he's a coach that can change his tactics.
Hey, there's an easy way to find out, and we only have to wait about, I don't know, 3 days.
No, it's
yeah. I mean, I watched maybe 15 minutes of the preseason game against Tampa. Thanks, Tampa, for streaming that one. I don't know. There wasn't much I could say from that game of like, oh, this looks different, or what are we figuring out? It was messy overall, what was happening on the field that day, which you kind of expect because Tampa's in like the second game of their preseason, and the Union had just come back from their trip to Spain, so it didn't look put together from either team in really any way in the 15 minutes I watched. Now maybe a different part of that game you saw something different, so feel free to let us know on social media if you saw something different, but I don't know. I didn't see much in that game. All those signings kind of leave our roster looking like this. I'll just run it down real quick. Goalkeeper has basically stayed the same. Andre Blake, Andrew Rick, and then George Marks as the third. And so goalkeeper is essentially what it has been. Defense, as you said, Chuck, I don't know what this defense looks like, but Nate Harriel, Olivier Mbaizo, Makanya, Frankie Westfield are all still around. Jafet Siri Larson, Junior Martinez, Finn Sundstrom, and then Caden Moore were the pickups in the offseason. I think Caden Moore is in on loan, but we had him last year too on loan, or the second team did. So obviously a guy that the Union front office likes. Field has not changed. Bedoya, Ben Bender, Jesus Bueno, Danley Jean-Jacques, Sylvan Lukic, CJ Only, Jeremy Raffanello, Kevin Sullivan, Quinn Sullivan, and Indiana Vasilov are all mentioned as our midfielders. And then the forwards, Damiani, and then the Damiani and Olaski are basically around from last year. And then the kids in Eddie Davis, Stas, Corzin, help me out with that one, Evan. Stas, Marcus
we just
Anderson,
call him Stas, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think anyone even bothers with his last name, so we don't need to
forget that
either.
One. Stas, Marcus Anderson, and Sal. All of us are all around, and then the new signings of Ezekiel Alada and Augustin Anello. Guys, I don't know what you think kind of this roster overall, or how you're feeling kind of headed into the season, but what thoughts on the overall roster?
But one thing that's funny is that if it wasn't for youth national team duties, would you just start Stas in?
Yep.
Trinidad.
Yep. I was gonna say early in the season before Club America, you have like 4 or 5 games, like you said, Chuck, or 6, 5, whatever it is. You got a big old kid that you just called up to your first team that probably wants to make a pretty good impression. And if these games don't really matter,
yeah, and like with what we've seen over the last 6 months, there's a good chance that he's like forward 3.5 sooner rather than later. And that's just because of the fact that I just don't know where to put Olowski when it comes to, is he a striker or is he a winger? I know the answer is just yes, but
yeah,
it's just a weird scenario until Quinn Sullivan comes back healthy, because you kind of need him like pseudo filling it in both spots.
I think ideally, and I think the long term is Olowski now gets to be a winger,
which is great, because that would also mean, oh goodness, why that we see more Vasilev central, because he's perfectly fine centrally, not on the wing. And I know he's done a lot on the wing, but like in this attack, like what seems like it's going to be an attacking version of the Philadelphia Union, we don't need Indiana Vasilev on the wing.
No,
it does.
No.
It does.
No, like, it does. We're not used to saying, which is funny.
I can't wait until they like completely trash that statement by like scoring no goals and allowing no goals for 4 games.
Yeah, it's great.
The game against DC United this weekend is just a dull 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Like 2 shots on net from both teams.
It's just Baribo and Demiani missing wide for 90
minutes. Cry.
There's like 4 tap-ins and all of them go over or wide. It's just side foot fuck-ups galore. It'll be great.
Yeah, I could see it happening. There's a world. Or it'll be like, what was that last year when we started off at Orlando and 4-2 craziness?
Yeah, we panicked because we're like, wait, they won?
Well, that was the joy of no one realizing like Carnell's doing the thing again and just passing the Union the ball. Which, I mean, DC might do that too, but that's just because it's DC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we at the point where we get to talk about that game yet, or what else are we going through?
I was just going to talk about, just one other thing I was going to mention. Wanted to get your thoughts on preseason. I don't have a ton from preseason other than just wanted to mention kind of what happened. I'm not even going to try to talk about who we played in Spain, but the results from Spain where we lost 2-1, we won 4-0, and we drew 1-1, and then came back and we played Tampa Bay and we won 2-0, and then played Montreal and lost 4-2. I didn't know if you guys had any thoughts on any of those results, things you saw, things you heard.
Sorry.
To say it with your chest, Chuck.
Like, well, I'm trying to, because I'm basically gonna paraphrase Allen Iverson here. Because like, I don't care about preseason. Preseason is just for the coaches and the staff around the club to see what they have. Like, who knows what they're really thinking and how they're throwing things around. We've seen plenty of players have hot preseasons and then not perform during the regular season. We've seen clubs win all their preseason games and then lose 10 games to start the season. Like, I have not watched very much of these Union preseason games because there's a lot of soccer in the world, and there's really no reason, unless you just are around and really want to watch these games, to find a stream and do it. So for me, I will be watching tomorrow and every other game after that.
There you go. Let's see here. Clean bill of health, so that's cool. And then just as a aesthetic aside, if Tampa Bay ever play a game at home again in those kits, they deserve to lose 8.
That's actually something that didn't make the rundown.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Any thoughts on the 1776 kit?
Well, I was told that I got to ask questions to someone who's not here tonight in a week, and it's been a week, so this is unfortunate. No, the more I see it, the more I'm like, yay, we did a good job. It might be a little on the nose, like 250th anniversary of America, but also with a city that has this much history, totally fine. And then, honestly, seeing a review of all the other kits in the league this year, we always do so much better than some of these other clubs in both naming and execution. So, no complaints here. I am begging Nashville to stop putting out kits that look like their first year in USL, and they refuse to do it.
We love yellow t-shirts.
And then Colorado with like the colorful Colorado kit. It's like, that's just your home strip. I don't like.
My as someone who ranked the kits, my comment on Colorado specifically was, you called it colorful Colorado, and where's the color?
It's not. Yeah.
Like, oh, we have colorful stripes on the shoulders and the collar, but that's it. But yeah, there were some kits, and this one's weird because I get it. It makes sense in America 250. It actually is a good looking kit that I'm not going to buy. But also, I feel like it is going to look very weird next year when they're still playing in it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that these rumored third kits end up more becoming the primary next year, because they are recognizing that this is a kit that really only works for 1 year in special occasions, and that, like, there already are comments out about it that it kind of looks like a warm-up, which I get, but it's really going to look like a warm-up if you're playing in it in not the 250th anniversary of America.
Yeah. I mean, I like the We the People that is like right in between the Adidas logo and the Union logo. I think that's cool. I'm not a huge fan of the kit. I'm surprised that it has ended up as high as what it has in a lot of the rankings.
Part of it is just due to what the other kits are.
It's true. Yeah. And then I do think, honestly, we've done ourselves, as far as brand and colors, like that blue and gold and like maybe lighter blue accents is really never going to look bad on anything. So as long as, and especially this one from afar, I think when you can't quite make out the intricacies of the design, will just look like a really good Union home kit. Maybe a little training toppy, but like it works. And I think, honestly, it functions nice as a little, like, if you travel and you want to wear a kit in the airports, that one pretty much tells people where you're from, point blank, without having to think about it.
Things have also gotten a lot better since Bimbo has allowed changing the color of their logo.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Thank you, Bethlehem Steel third kit. Yay, the gift that keeps on giving.
And to your point, Evan, I think like the City Connect MLB merch for the Phillies like kind of has that same feel of like, you know, it's the Liberty Bell and you just see it and like.
I swear they saw the Union Lightning kitten and stole it.
No, absolutely. That's what happened.
Yeah, it does feel that.
All right, let's talk about the game. So tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, at this point, we play Defense Force FC, who is currently tied for first in the Trinidad and Tobago Premier Football League. Former MLS striker Kevin Molino actually plays on that team. I didn't realize he was still playing soccer, but he still is. And the team is primarily made up of Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard and Army members.
And
that's so cool.
For your, I guess, Trinidad fact right now, we're in the midst of Carnival. Also, I remembered that I do have a shot glass from Trinidad, just due to the fact that one of my friends, his dad and dad's family is from there. He brought me back a shot glass that is, of course, just the top portion of a man in a Speedo.
Good.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the flag.
The Speedo is the flag.
I thought you were just queuing up for the flag, because, I mean, it's, you know.
Again, the Speedo is.
I have off-air questions about the Caribbean nations. No, Kevin Molino is a MLS Minnesota United deep cut. What a player. We should walk this game. I don't want to give a number score-wise, but unless this pitch is, and it will be, in a horrible shape, and we partake in Carnival before we play, I don't know.
Seeing that Nashville are currently, you know, as they should, they started backups in Ottawa and are 33 minutes into this game as we are currently recording, and it is 0-0, and they have taken one. Oh, they just took a second shot. So
Chuck, you mean to tell me that a game between two teams that play historically boring soccer isn't necessarily going to light the world on fire? Hey, now.
Nashville has Espinoza now. Like, they actually have a third attacker, and that might, in theory, be a good thing. But, like, I'm not concerned about the away legs of these. Just don't lose. Like, it's gonna be an ugly game of soccer. This is the first real game that the Union have played since November. It's gonna look like it. Just don't look like it next week at home.
According to their Wikipedia page, the last time that that Defense Force FC was in the Champions Cup, whatever they called it, at the time they played Pachuca and they won 1-0 at home, but then Pachuca beat them 4-0 back in Mexico. So
that's also such a Pachuca result.
That really is.
Yes.
That's super Liga MX of them. It's great. Good for them.
I hate that, like, because of both CBS having the rights to certain Liga MX games and Leagues Cup, I can now speak confidently about Liga MX.
Yeah.
And I don't fully like it.
All right.
Soccer in the Americas is something.
Isn't that great?
So the Union are going to do something tomorrow night, and we'll see. And we probably don't care what it is as long as they don't lose. And then this weekend they play DC United. DC in 2025 finished last in the East with 26 points total in the season. And then went on a roster rebuild. So Benteke is no longer there, but they replaced Benteke with Ty Baribo and Luis Montanu. They now have a aging Sean Johnson in net. So, longtime MLS keepers in Sean Johnson and Andre Blake going at it. And then between Baribo and Montanu, they spent about $13 million trying to rebuild this roster to make something happen this season. And they have a new coach.
Yeah, and they bought the wrong forward from Cluj. Like, it's really funny because when you're like, the DC spent a lot of money on a forward from Romania. But yeah, he also scored like 2 goals this year and hasn't actually been starting. But let's forget that part. Like, how does this club keep doing the same thing over and over? Because, like, even with buying Baribo from the Union, it's like they spent way too much money in doing that. There's a reason why the Union were like, sure, take our top striker. We'll take the money and go reinvest it in the club, which, like, thankfully they have actually reinvested it. But, like,
right,
what is this?
What was, I know we don't have it probably like at a fingertip, but what was the fee for Baribo that they paid us? Was it like 4.5?
4.5, yeah, 4.4 or something.
Yeah.
4.5.
And there's still add-ons.
So, like,
there's still add-ons in that as well.
Right. And if it's appearance-based performance incentive, he hit it. Like,
Unless he gets
this was a team last year, whenever we talked about them, where we're like, it's just some guys and, like, Christian Benteke. Now it's just some guys and Ty Baribo, who on his day is one of the best strikers in the league. Obviously, I mean, we know that, obviously. The problem is, who's going to give him the ball? And then it's another forward that probably doesn't create from nothing. And then Sean Johnson, God love him, was really good 10 years ago. But
Sean Johnson was actually really good last year, too. Like, Toronto would have been awful if Sean Johnson wasn't their keeper. Like, until proven otherwise by his body, like, just actually breaking down, Sean Johnson has made the defense of every team that he's been on better.
Well, Chuck, good news. I think he's going to have to make the defense of DC United better, because I could not tell you.
Yeah, it still won't be good enough, but it will be better.
No. So, yeah, not to be, it's going to be another, like, don't expect pretty mid-season Philadelphia Union attacking football, but, like, we should be able to grind out a win here fairly easily. I do also think we're going to see that thing where it's like, oh, there's 3 or 4 chances in this game where in about 2 months we'll finish those, but the chemistry's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I don't know if we're in for our normal, have a nil demolition of DC, but just win. Because no matter what, I will, even with these games around it, I will be annoyed losing to DC United this weekend.
Well, yeah, but that's like an organizational failure.
Exactly. So it can be ugly, but you do need to still win that game.
I agree with a lot of your thoughts. I don't have much to add. I think it is just win. Figure out how to do it. I don't know what you'd need to do to figure that out, but just figure out how to do that and then go from there. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. It'll be fun that Union Soccer's back in play. And then we have the second leg of the CONCACAF game next Thursday night. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, fun start to the season. A couple games against the Trinidad and Tobago team, and then a game against DC United. Probably the last question I have wasn't on the rundown, but how are we thinking, I don't know, kind of quickly, how are we thinking about this whole season? What's the goal? What do you think we finish?
It's been a lot of moving chairs in the Eastern Conference this season. I mean, the cop-out answer is obviously in MLS, if you miss the playoffs, you fail. So there's that. I think we're still, especially with Dane St. Clair selling out, looking at Miami's up here, and then depending on who they play and what surface your pitch is made out of, it's going to be a bit of a gap to the rest of the Eastern Conference. But we sort of knew that. But I still think that whoever wins the East wins MLS Cup this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd agree with that. It's weird because, especially since, the Union aren't taking part in Open Cup.
Right.
It does, with what the state of this roster is right now and what we've seen at the moment, it does not feel like this team can win a trophy this year. And I feel like with where the Union are, the goal should always be win a trophy this year. And so just going into a season and not being able to even say, at least we could win Open Cup is oh man. Because Leagues Cup, you still have to go through Miami. Now, Miami has enough depth that I don't think you get Supporter Shield. And then you have, NYFC got better. Nashville got better. It's still going to be as much of a fight as it always is atop the East, because this conference has just gotten nuts. And you also presume that Columbus isn't going to be as bad as they were. I still think that the Union can finish third or fourth, but I really struggle to see a ceiling higher than that, and hopefully not getting a 21-day layoff between playoff games again, because that was very annoying, and this would still be a team that you don't want to see in a one-off playoff game, which is what made last season so annoying.
Well, we don't have a 21-day playoff layoff. We just have a 35-day layoff in the middle of the season.
Right.
Yeah, but that one I'm not as worried about, since everyone has that, and at least no matter what, the Union will have some players involved in the World Cup. I'm fascinated to see, what teams do during that layoff, but I don't even think we're close enough to them starting to figure out what that whole thing looks like.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because it's almost like we have 3 short seasons coming up in the next year and a half.
Yep.
It's you have a season, and then you have a 35, 40-day layoff, then you have a season, then you have playoffs, and then you have a season with playoffs after that. And so I do think it's interesting thinking about that and trying to figure out how they're going to manage all of that and all the different timing things that are happening between now and then.
Does every MLS team stadium host a World Cup team?
I don't know if they're all out yet, but when places like even Swope Park are hosting World Cup teams,
sure, okay, then
I would assume yes. For the ones that, at least have soccer-specific stadiums and setups.
Right. Because I think what would be interesting, or what I would think would be like a logical solution for most clubs in that window, hey, we'll be Cote d'Ivoire's practice squad. Like, all right, we know you have 3 games against this team, this team, this team. We'll imitate this team for you just to get guys minutes and reps and scrimmage and whatever. And none of it's going to be open door, but we're around, you're around. We're not doing anything else. Just don't play any contact and we'll be fine. Because I don't think teams are going to want to like play friendlies against each other and travel and all that stuff. But I think some kind of like low pressure, like, all right, will be a practice squad sort of thing to keep guys warmed up a little bit in between training or whatever probably makes sense.
Yeah, I could also see if like the Riverhounds have a bye week or Loudon has a bye week, like could the Union run down and like play a friendly on a weekend, or could Loudon come to, like whatever. It's like could that could be another way to get game minutes in and also stay sharp and help those teams stay sharp and, all of that as well. But yeah, you want to figure out how to stay. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think the Union, I would agree with you, Chuck. I think the Union are a playoff team for sure. I think it depends how far up in the playoff rankings they can get. I don't see them finishing first or second again this year, but you never know. That's the thing. I kind of take the other positive, if Sari Larson or Martinez can replace Glesna as well, if that left back signing comes through, if we start getting goals out of Anello and Alada, like, could this team go on? Sure, like it could, but it's like, are the replacements for the players that we lost going to do the same thing, or are we going to struggle to replace the production of the players that we lost?
Find out.
Can Quinn get healthy and actually play?
Yeah, he's at least young, so I don't have huge concerns on if he'll come back like the way that he left. We also are going to wonder what more Calvin minutes look like too, because that's also a thing that's going to happen this year, especially since he has at least gotten a little bigger. We'll see if that's something that can actually stand up to MLS competition. But after last year, it will be interesting to see what year 2 of him getting extensive first team minutes is, because the Union are in a lot more games. So he's also going to have to play a lot more minutes.
My favorite thing that I saw on the internet, one of my favorite things that I saw on the internet this week was somebody was like, it would be like us. It would be like Union, like to like not do well this season, or like, I don't know, miss the playoffs, or like bomb out in the first round again, but then like win the Supporters Shield and win MLS Cup in the shortened season at the beginning of next year. And that's the thing. The Union win their first MLS Cup in the short season of 2027. I was like, yeah, that would be what happens.
But see, like, that's fine. Like, this is I mean, I don't want to be like, I want to be bad this season, but just with all the changes and still figuring out is our coach legit, this very well could be a transitional season. And yes, those are the things that you do end up getting together in short seasons. And like, just like the COVID Supporters Shield, it's still a trophy that no one could take away from us. And then we got a real one. What's there to say?
Somewhere. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's what we think. Let us know what you think. You can find us at VFTV Pod all over the internet. We'd love to hear from you. Comment on YouTube, be in our Instagram, whatever. Just let us know what you think. And we'll talk to you again with more Union content very, very soon.